weeks, but I don't want to complain. Welcome to Padres Talking Padres. The regular season's off and on its way, and the Padres are starting out a little slow. But no, I don't think there's no need to panic yet.
No, it's what's that reporter asked him if Stammen was worried. I know we're only 1/30th of the way through. Are you concerned? He goes, no, I feel pretty good about the 29 30ths that are left. So
I did say, though, what day did I watch the game? I said, I am not going to spend all season with them not hitting with runners in scoring position. I'm not doing it. But I was a little edgy. It's been one of those weeks.
Yeah. Everybody, spring, eternal or whatever it's called.
Spring hopes eternal, or whatever.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. You always want to get off to a good start. I mean, look at last year. He's 13-4. We're all pumped up, and what's going on? All right, this is good. And then Merrill gets hurt, and then things happen, and you flow into the regular season. And but I go in every year, and it's always the same: win every series. That's the goal. Just because you can't look at the 162.
Well, we haven't done that yet.
No, and you got to win a majority of them. Really, the math does back me up. If you don't win a majority of your series, you won't make the playoffs. You have to win a majority of them. So
you beat up on the bad teams and you play 500 against the good teams. That's the
and that's the thing. Detroit. It was mentioned today. Local radio station started their 1 hour Padre, discussion panel. And, you did have to go against two of the better left-handers in the league. Scubal is the best. I know he's right there with Crochet and Chris Sale, as far as lefties. Then you had to go Framber Valdez, which is not a huge drop off. So
no, he got paid a lot of money for a reason.
Yep, exactly.
And then it didn't help Scubal
the head. You got to hit with runners in scoring position.
It also didn't help that you start out 4-0 against Scubal.
Yeah, I was out of town. Of course, I was not here last week. So yeah, imagine I sat down at the sports bar to watch the game, and I pretty much after 6-0, I was like, well, I guess I'm here to play some poker or some slot machines for a while.
When it got 6-0, I kind of just walked away. I said, okay, we ain't coming back from this.
Yeah, ain't gonna happen very often, but check in every once in a while and all that. But yeah, same problem as last year: runners in scoring position, too many strikeouts. But again, it's early. We got a few players, and I mean few, that are pulling their weight, so to speak. Lariano looks really good.
Yeah, he's a keeper.
Jackson Merrill, although the average is not up there, he's definitely added some fire to some of the innings. Fernando had a good day yesterday. So it's just bits and pieces and stuff. It was good to see Gavin Sheets get on board because the guy signed a minor league contract last year. I didn't come into the year assuming that if he had one good year, he's that's the way he's going to be all the time now, So
I think a lot of players, it takes you come to the majors, it's intimidating.
Yeah.
And you start out slow, it only gets worse. So I think, having a good year last year, and he's got a great attitude. He doesn't have to start every day. He just wants to
win.
Just wants to win. So, but I was telling some Padre fan, I said, look at the Dodgers average. Yeah. I said, the only reason they're winning is they have 5 number 1 starters. So, you look at their starting pitching, if we had their starting pitching, we'd probably be undefeated too. So, not undefeated, but we'd probably be 4-2.
Well, I think the bigger thing is, and it's been talked about. In fact, it was a good portion of the roundabout today. The Padres are just not a slugging team. We sit here and wonder, the slugging went down last year compared to the year before and everything. But I was talking to a friend, today. And I said, the thing is, though, is you look at that lineup and we don't have the 40 home run guy. We don't. I think we're kidding ourselves if we think Fernando's going to hit 40. Machado's a solid, 25 or 30. But we don't have that guy. And some teams, like the guys up north, have 3 or 4. They can do that. And that therein lies the problem, because home runs keep you from slumps. There's no doubt about it, because you can have a 5-hit game, but yet if you hit 2 home runs, you found a way to get through it.
I think Betts has 2 hits on the season, and they're both home runs.
Yeah.
And one was a 3-run homer, and it won the game. So you got to, in this day and age, they got to find some power. I don't know where they're going to find it from.
Well, it's not just the power, but when your team's hitting $190, you definitely can't have to have some power out of that. So, both sides are hurting in the first 6 games. Both sides are hurting pretty bad. They're not getting runners on base. When they do, they're not moving them around because they're swinging and missing a lot. And obviously, they've hit 3 home runs, 2 by Laureano and 1 by Merrill. And quite honestly, the 1 by Merrill was pretty much because it's 2 out in the 9th and we're down by 3. Yeah.
I mean,
we'll
it's
take
still
it
good
any way we can, but it's. But again, it's early. It's Petco. Ball doesn't carry very well. Not that we're going after the fences at all, but I think Castellanos hit one that I thought was gone, and it died on the warning track. But
it's April and May. It's going to do that.
Yeah.
It's gonna die because the ball, the marine layer, keeps the ball.
Well, how many have the other teams hit? That's the thing. Sometimes you have to measure against. Well, what's the other team doing? I believe the Giants only hit 1 this series. Wasn't it Bader that hit the home run?
Oh, Bader and what's his name?
Adames. Adames led off the game. Yeah.
Yeah, because I had him on my bench. I had him on my bench.
So I mean, they had 2 home runs, and the Detroit series I don't think was loaded with home runs either.
Not that I can remember. I think they definitely had 1.
Yeah. But my point being is the other teams are not coming in and just slugging and slugging and slugging. The pitching has been good in spots, not so good in spots. I have continued to share my concern about having Marquez. I'm willing to stick it out with Buehler. I really think that he got a little unlucky.
Unlucky, and he missed. His location was off.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to make it out like he was totally unlucky, but he did have a few unlucky batters. But Marquez just looks like he doesn't have anything. I mean, it's just nothing. And I know they're waiting for Griffin Canning to come back.
He pitched 3 innings in a simulated game.
He's starting Friday. Tomorrow.
He's starting tomorrow.
Well, in a minor league rehab.
Oh, minor league game. Okay.
They're trying to build him up to 5 innings, and he actually got interviewed locally, and he said, yeah, they want me to get to 5 innings. So whether or not that's tomorrow or the next start, but obviously they're not going to just rush him. But my hope is, and nothing against Marquez, and my hope is that Marquez only has to maybe make 1 or 2 more starts, and then we're on to better things. Because I mean, I'm an old man, but man, sometimes Marquez was throwing it up there, and I'm like, geez, I feel like I could hit that.
It was pretty flat too. It was
very, very average.
I go, this guy's got nothing.
Yeah. But it's not just. I mean, the problem is you're 2-4, and I guess the good news is, Jack, you haven't done anything well. You haven't hit well. You haven't pitched well. Your bullpen hasn't done well. Not like we expect them. The one of the best bullpens in baseball.
Well, Estrada
to be 2-4, that's not bad.
Estrada Miller looked awesome.
Yeah,
Mason Miller is, and
but Morejon's struggling a little bit with the strike zone. I mean, he's still getting guys out, but he didn't look good. Estrada got bombed the first time. He came back yesterday, pitched really good. Hart was going along, and unfortunately, I think this is an early manager mistake. Just my opinion. When Hart pitched the 2 innings clean, I'm thinking, okay, you kind of like you got what you wanted out of him. Let's get somebody else in there, and
I
then he
said
got destroyed the next inning.
You're not alone. I mean, a lot of us were like going, "Why is he pitching again?" And then he got the the leadoff double, and I'm like going, "That could have been caught, but still, it was hit pretty good." I said, "Let's take him out now," and he didn't. And then he brought in was it Rodriguez?
Well, he ended up getting charged for 4 runs. So I mean,
4 runs. I mean, he left him in left him in way too long, especially when your team is struggling to score.
Yeah,
you're only down by 1. Once it got to 8-3, I go, well, this game's over. We're not hitting enough to come back.
I think that it might be a personality with Stamen, and I kind of get it. You're the new manager. You want to show confidence in the guys. You don't want to just like old Sparky Henderson, Captain Hook. You don't want to just every time somebody gives up a hit, oh well, I got to get him out of there. But yeah, I think that there's been 2 cases that I've disagreed, and I disagreed at the time when Estrada couldn't find the strike zone. I was sitting next to somebody and I said, the key to Estrada is if you watch him the first 3 pitches, if he's high in the zone, you better get somebody warmed up. He's just got that thing where when he starts missing, it's up high, it's head level, it's shoulder level, and he just can't seem to figure. But if he's down in the zone, sit them all down and let him go. Yeah. And I think so leaving him after the third batter, I'm just like, okay, he doesn't have it. I don't think there's anything wrong with going to a pitcher and say, hey, you just don't got it today, But he didn't, and he left him in, and he ended up getting cooked. And I say the same thing, we discussed Kevin Hart, or Kevin, I keep on saying Kevin, Kyle Hart, when he got the 2 innings, you're like, okay, what more do you want from even a long reliever? I mean, this isn't a long relief like, he took over in the 2nd inning. This was, no, he took over in the 4th inning. You got 2 innings out of him. You can get to the rest of your bullpen for a while here. But
and also with Kyle Hart, he seemed to do really well for 2 innings, and then for whatever reason, just seems to struggle after that. So I think he's money for 2 innings. I said, well, like you said, wow, we got 2 innings out of him. We're only down by 1. Yeah, and he brought him out. Stamen has to realize that it's fine to make the pitcher happy.
Right.
But you got 25 other guys that you have to make happy. So,
Well, I don't even know if it was happy is the right word, Jack. I'm not trying to disagree with you, but it's just more of just understanding that, every player has their limits, and you're not showing less confidence, taking him out after 2 innings. If anything, you're giving a pat on the rear end and saying, hey, great job. You did exactly what we needed out of you.
Yeah. And even with Estrada, you just like you said, hey, you don't have it today. We
got it today. Yeah.
And Estrada's a team player. He's not going to sit there and pout and throw a fit. He's going to, I didn't get the job done.
Yeah.
I'm walked 3 guys. I mean, so yeah, hopefully he gets it. And again, I think he will. I hope, like I said, I hope he's the best manager in the world. I still go back though. I wish we would have got someone with experience, but again, hopefully with him and Niebla working together that they'll get this pitching thing solved. And if the players are hitting, that makes his job even easier. It's tougher right now because we're not scoring runs, except for yesterday we scored 7, which was pretty incredible.
With a lot of help from San Francisco.
Yeah. Well, you saw what Chapman did, right?
Yeah. I'm old school. I would have had my glove over my mouth, when I'm talking to the guy. But you know what? He's right. It's like, catch the ball. Geez, you're trying to stretch. If you can't stretch, if it's a bad throw and you can't keep your foot on the base, you got to catch the ball. You can't just, and both times it was the exact same thing. It was trying to stretch. And good. I think a really good first baseman would have got both of them. But, catch the ball. You can't let it go by you.
Yeah. And, what's funny, my first thought, I go, wow, if that was Manny Machado, all the people on Twitter would be going crazy. Look at that a-hole Manny Machado cussing out his first baseman, which I don't think he's ever done. I've never seen him do it.
Well, he did it to Fernando a couple years ago.
No, I'm saying on the field when someone messes up.
Yeah.
Fernando,
I don't know. He's the moment though. I get it. We've all been there. The competitive juices are going and everything. You don't want to show up your teammate, but in the heat of the moment, sometimes you might say something. There's cameras everywhere. The modern players got to realize that. Obviously, it's like there's cameras everywhere, man. if you pick your nose at the wrong time, they're going to catch you.
Well, they seem to. I think players pick their nose all the time because I always see players picking their nose. I mean, for years since I've been watching baseball, every player must just sit there and just dig in all 9 innings because they always catch a guy picking his nose. I don't know. It's just me. But I was listening to MLB radio today, and they were saying it was C.J. Nikowski and who's the other guy? I can't remember the other guy. They were saying what bothered them about Chapman was they say, he said afterwards, "Oh, we worked it out," stuff like that. Yeah. But he never apologized publicly about it. Said, "Hey, I was out of line," something like that.
No, he apologized to him. He
apologized to the player, but he didn't take. They were saying he didn't take ownership of being, chewing him out. I'm like going, again, it's whatever they decide works behind. I don't need to have an apology. What do I care?
Yeah, it's the clubhouse, man.
Yeah,
you know what? I love our little talk show here and everything like that, but we've said it so many times, Jack. I don't know what goes on in the clubhouse and what rankles somebody and what makes somebody happy. That's that's the manager's job, and as long as it doesn't come out in the paper, to me, it's like
who knows? Again, I didn't understand why they were making such a big deal about it.
Yeah.
Because
they caught him saying it.
Well, they caught him saying it. I get that. I agree. You have to talk. You can talk about it. It gives you something to talk about. But I was like, I don't get I go, why did he have to apologize? Why did we have to know that he apologized? Anyway,
Twitter loves drama.
Well, this was
Instagram.
These were
Instagram loves drama.
These were former major league players, though.
Yeah.
So
no, I'm just saying though, it's the social media thing to do. Is to pick a fight, throw something out there and see if it sticks. And, no, I don't know if anybody really cares about facts anymore. I really don't, just tell a story and, make somebody come and tell you it's wrong or something. I don't know. Again, I'm old and cranky. So, it's just,
you're definitely old and cranky.
Yes, I am. But I love my Padres and I love talking baseball.
Vasquez pitched really, really well.
Yeah, I honestly think he's the key to this season because I don't need him to be the number one starter kind of thing, but this is 2 years in a row now working on the third where he's gotten better, and it's not leaps and bounds, but he's gotten better. But everything I read and heard said that he took the offseason a little bit more serious. He got together with Yu Darvish, who it's kind of like the professor of pitching, and started working with him, got into better shape. He admitted it's like, I took my off season a lot more serious this year. I started working out and working on my arm, and the velocity is up like 4 miles an hour now, and I think he's a different pitcher, and I think he'll grow, especially if he quits dancing around people. And he didn't dance around nearly as many. He had a few at bats, but I mean, any pitcher has that. But no, I thought he just pitched a really strong game. I thought he was forceful enough. It wasn't the nibble, walk two guys, then get into trouble. Thought he did an excellent job. I'm looking forward to how well he does in his next start. What is that, Saturday probably?
Yeah.
So
King tomorrow, right?
Yeah, King picks good. Deserved better fate. He left with a 2-1 lead, and that's when Estrada blew up. And but yeah, I mean that's the thing though, Jack. Right? You take that game, and if Estrada does his job, and we win that game, we're 3-3. Nobody's really talking about what's going on with the Padres, kind of thing. So
again, it's too early to complain. I mean, it's just it just is what it is. I mean, I think the Padres will start hitting, and you got a lot. I was listening to another radio show I was listening to, and they were saying a lot of the players that played in the World Baseball Classic are struggling, and they were naming off players that are this and that and this and that, and I'm like going, well, they're not wrong, I guess, but I mean, I didn't look it up, but maybe that is an issue.
Yeah, but the thing is though, is that here's my take on that. That's why. It's one of the many reasons I'm not a big WBC fan. It's not so much that I don't think it's entertaining to have different countries going after each other. But as pointed out, Fernando Tatis hit 400, had 2 home runs, 12 RBIs, was just absolutely killed it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But how many major league pitchers did he face in that? I mean, it's a whole different brand. I mean, United States threw Scooble out one time and Skeens a couple. When you're playing, no offense, but you're playing Ireland or South Korea or what those are not major leaguers in a lot of countries. They may be a major leaguer in their country, but not in the United States baseball. And
Well,
that's a huge difference. Huge difference.
Didn't it used to be just minor leaguers?
Well, I don't think so, but again, I'm not the historian for WBC. It's been around for like 20 years now.
That's what I'm saying. I can remember when it was just minor league. I thought it was just minor leaguers, and
I don't believe so, but I know it's gotten to some buy-in. There's no doubt about it. And a lot of the other countries really, it means more to them. I mean, you talk to, or they talk to guys like Miguel Rojas and what it meant to win he said it's better than the World Series. And I'm like, okay, that's quite a statement, but yeah. And he's won them both. So, you got to kind of take him at his word, but I don't see how you're basically playing an exhibition game and not necessarily the best of each nation, because you have
and
lot
also
of
the world
teams.
The World Series, you play a 162 game season, then you got to play the postseason, then the World Series. You win the World Series, you've done something. It's a long.
So maybe it's the enjoyment is better because it's a little 2-week snippet. And I don't think what he was saying was it was harder. I think he was just saying it meant more to him because of.
Well, I'm just saying, to win the World Series
is much harder than winning WBC.
I would think so.
Harder. Yeah, but I was saying
you're not playing England in the World Series. Right. Hey, don't. If you're listening to us in England, I apologize, but come on, let's be honest here, okay? It's soccer. I'll give you soccer, but
cricket,
cricket, cricket.
You got me. Yeah,
I think cricket would be easy though. I've always looked at that.
You know what? I've followed a lot of sports. I remember when ESPN first came on and they had Australian rules football, and I actually learned. I sat there and watched it. It was on at 3:00 every afternoon, and I got to where I was watching Australian rules football. I thought it was cool. I mean, hey, there's sports on. I got to watch it, right? Cricket, I have no clue how it's played. All I know is that the games can go for 2 days, and you can hit it backwards, and you can.
I don't know.
I don't get it. Yeah.
To me, it doesn't look like that hard to hit. But I
flat paddle and all that. But I think the guy's closer, and you got to bounce it. I don't know, but
whatever.
Go back to our baseball. What do you think of Stammen as far as the lineups?
I guess I'm okay with it. I still would rather have Bogarts leading off, Tatis, Merrill, Machado.
I think I'm talking more about how many different lineups we've had.
Oh, well, I guess I didn't understand why he gave Liriano the day off when he was the only one hitting. I mean, I know you want to give him some rest, but it's only the 4th game of the season. Let's who's hitting right now? Liriano? Yeah, we're gonna sit you. I didn't understand that. I'm like going, you gotta go with the guys that are hot. I can see if it's like the 25th game in a row. Yeah. He's played 25 games in a row. Yeah, let's give the day off. Yeah,
I think there's a couple things. Number one, I like the whole idea of a different lineup, right-handed, left-handed. I've never been, let's just be stoic and it's got to be the same thing. I mean, look how much trouble that caused with Luis Arraez last year batting second, and people are just like, oh, for God's sake, can you put somebody else in there? I mean, and so
he didn't. That's a problem,
and he didn't. That's what I'm saying. So but I don't mind. I don't mind not having a set lineup. I remember Bochy used to do that a lot. Move guys around, and he had certain places where he'd bet the leadoff maybe or whatever. But I think you should go by pitching matchups and everything. I agree with the Liriano thing, but I didn't think it was a big deal. But yeah, I was kind of curious, like you said. Right. Okay, here's the guy. This is the one guy that's 250 or over, and you're going to put him on the bench. But
my first thought was he was hurt.
Well, I'm wondering if he's just not planning. And again, we're not there. What's the discussion? Are they planning the 3-game series in advance and saying, who's going to play when, and we're just going to stick with it. That's what we're going to do. And that might have been one of the cases where they just said, you know what, I don't know if it was so much getting Laureano a rest as much as they wanted to probably get Castellanos and Andujar at the same time. So
I get it, but to me, sometimes you got to change. Okay, this guy's on fire. I can't sit him. I got to stick with the hot hand.
Yeah.
And to me, again, it also depends on the season. If you're up by 6 games, I can give a guy a day off.
Yeah.
That's fine. Let's see what you got to get. You got a lot of guys. The problem is the Padres have a lot of guys who are similar in talent. So if you sit a guy,
which is a good thing, right?
It's a good thing.
Was it last year or the year before where we said, well, we got 10. That's it. I think it was the year before. We got 10, and that's it. Like, you can't play anybody but those 10. Yeah. And last year, you look at last year, it's like, holy crap, left field and catchers were like the void, So this is new ground for us for a couple years, because in my mind, we've got 11 or 12. In fact, I don't know if, except for the catchers, I don't know if there's really anybody that you sit there and go, well, I can't play him. I think Bryce Johnson, is a heck of a player. I think he's come into his own. He kind of deserves a start. I was glad to see him get a start yesterday.
He's as long as they realize, okay, he's a role player.
Yeah, but but the other thing is the detriment to this switching lineups is sometimes those, and now let's kind of rule out the core 4, right? Because Tatis, Manny, Bogarts, and Merrill are going to be in 99% of the time, so to speak. But problem is if you keep switching guys off, nobody gets a couple of days, 3 days in a row and everything. And a big Bochy fan, when he was managing, the one thing I used, and I've told you before, the thing I liked about him is he'd take a Bryce Johnson and basically give him a series and just say, if I'm playing, if I'm going to bat this guy, he's going to be here the next 2 or 3 games. I'm not just giving him a game and, okay, now go sit on the bench for 5 games until we need you again. Because you got to give a guy, a little bit of normalcy, and can't expect him to go out there and get 3 or 4 bats and not having seen a pitch in 5 days. So,
but it's hard because you have Castellanos who Ty France needs work, Andujar needs work. I mean, it's just there's guys on the team that need at bats. I mean, it's so.
But I think you'll get more normalcy in substitutions when we get a little bit more into the season, because I really think that he's going to do what he said he's going to do. We're going to give Manny 10 days off this year. Like, we're not,
and they should.
And you don't want to wait until it's August before you start giving them time off, And Stammen said in an interview before the season, just said, that's the manager's job to figure out, hey, so we're playing a day game, like Wednesday would have been a perfect example, right? We played yesterday. It's a day game. We're traveling. Give a guy the day off on Wednesday. We travel on Thursday. Then he can start Friday night. He almost had like 2 days off. Granted, he had a little travel to fly, but that's 2 days, not just, hey, I'm going to just take you out for one night and you'll be back the next day. So,
right.
I think that's where off days to me are more really important to a manager, is to figure out, okay, well, who's ready for a blow here? Who hasn't had some time off?
Well, I think last year they just Manning, what he missed, he only missed a few games last year. Like going, okay, it's time to give Manny some time off, both mentally and physically.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I'm going to look it up because I thought he still played a lot of games though.
He did play a lot of games last year. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, let me regular season. Let's see. Yeah, Manny played 159 games. So yeah, to your point, his days off were DH. And I don't know, those 159. He probably didn't start 6 or 7 games, but he came in to pinch hit, I'm sure, when they needed him and kind of like that. It's one thing I respected Schilt at one time when he told Fernando, "Don't even come to the park." take the day off. And, I mean, if you think about it, it's like almost a smart thing to do. It's like, well, I need you to be here, but be in the clubhouse. Like I don't want to see you. I don't want to be tempted. I don't want to, because a day off is a day off, and yeah, we'll see. I know the questioning of the pitching. I think that's the more of confidence thing, trying to instill confidence in the relievers, especially having been one. I'm sure maybe that's on the back of his mind all the time. Like, hey, I didn't want people to come out and just knee jerk. Hey, you gave up a hit, so I'm gonna take you out.
Well, he had a coach once leave him in for 4 home runs. So
yeah. Yes, he did. That was Buddy, wasn't it? They were about the right timeline.
I don't think it was Bud Black. Might have been Green.
Yeah.
I can't remember who it was, but it was like bam, bam, bam. Okay, why is he still in?
Against the Nationals, yeah. There's taking one for the team, and then there's taking one for the team.
Yeah, well, maybe he was giving out souvenirs, and I think he should be. It was free ball night.
Home run derby night, yeah.
But yeah, it's too. I know people are complaining about him already. It's just like, okay, guys, it's 6 games. We got it. We got to relax. We don't know what we have. Yeah, he's made some mistakes, but I can look at Schilt last year, and Schilt was a smart baseball guy, and there were times I was like going, well, that was dumb. It's just
managers got some managers are pure analytics, some managers are pure gut, and then there's guys in between. You got to figure out which one's going to work for you. I'm not into the analytics as much as some. They serve their purpose. I think that's kind of pregame stuff where you kind of look and say, who has good success against this guy? What's their history? What's this guy? The scouting report on the pitching, things like that. But sometimes you're in the middle of the game and you got to have the gut. You got to like, what? I normally bring in Estrada, but you know what? I'm bringing in David Morgan. I just got this feeling that he would, he'd be better for this situation. So. But if 2 and 4, Jack, is the worst stretch we go through, we're in for a good season. I mean, good clubs, go through 10 games and go 2 and 8. I mean, it happens. It'll be interesting because somebody will come out of this series with Boston not feeling good because they're 1 and 5 and we're 2 and 4.
Well, I know. I listened to this. What's her name? Nicole. Something Nicole, and she's a huge Boston fan, Patriots and all that stuff. And she was just going on and on and on how bad it is, and then she was being sarcastic about how the Yankees are 5-1. Yay, the Yankees, because obviously they hate the Yankees. But the Red Sox fans are not happy. They're not happy. And someone called up today and said, if they just would have kept Betts, we'd have at least one more World Series. The Dodgers have at least one less.
And they haven't let that one go. I hear that one almost as much as I hear the regret of all the fans that Orsello is our announcer now.
Yeah,
they love Orsello, man. I mean, that's a big one. Yeah.
No, Orsello, that's their worst complaint, more than Betts, because they loved him.
Yeah,
and he was, and
I know why. Yeah. Sorry, Boston, but we love him too. I mean, he's awesome.
You're not getting him back.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And the good thing is him and Mark Grant and Jesse Agler are all signed for contract. They don't go into the length and everything, but you kind of get the feeling like, you guys can just stay as long as you want to stay. I think they've kind of got that, lifetime contract as things sit. But
I know a guy on Twitter, a Padre fan. He said something about how he hates Orsello in mud. Oh my God, he got lit. I mean, it's just like, well, what do you want?
Yeah,
it's like they're having fun. That they're doing a great job of the commentary. It's just, I don't know. I don't get it.
I gotta say, and I'm not browbeating other announcers. I mean, some people love whatever's in front of them, kind of thing. But while I was in Reno and watching the ball games, obviously you get different feeds, right? So we got the Detroit feed for the Padre game. Yawn. I mean, yawn. It was stoic. It was like, oh my gosh, like listening to paint dry, right? Then we, of course, being close to, a lot of people in Reno are San Francisco Giant fans because of the proximity and everything. And I don't know who their color commentator is. I can't understand a word he's saying. They're like this, that's the way he talks. And you're like, what did he say? What did he just say? I have no idea what that one guy was saying. He was just, everything was a mumble. And again, very stoic. It was just dry baseball commentary. And I've said it time and time again. Obviously, I'm in the majority on this one. The thing I like about Don and Mud is they know when to be serious and they know when to just laugh. Right. Because if the game's close, they're on it. Mud's talking about the pitch and the pitch type, and Don's calling a good game. But when it's a little lopsided, a little loosey goosey, I laugh. It's entertaining.
I'll stay and I'll keep watching the game because of them.
Yeah.
Even a blowout, because they're having fun. It's like, okay, I could watch a TV show or I could be entertained with this.
Yeah.
So people that complain about it just crack me up because I've listened to because last year we went to the Pirates games and driving back on the Sunday, I listened to the radio broadcast of the Padres, and it was the Pirates feed I was getting. And talk about stoic and boring. I almost drove off the road.
Yeah.
And there's a foul ball. It's like 50s, the 50s calls and stuff like that. And
now I will say, speaking of that, last year, me and my wife went to the Grand Canyon, and so we went to the Arizona game first. But on our way back, we were too far away to hear the Padre podcast or telecast, so we listened to the Diamondbacks. And they have, I don't know who their play-by-play guy is, but Tom Cattiotti is their color commentator. He's great.
Yeah, Tom Cattiotti. He's great. Yeah.
In fact, him and Don did a game, the Arizona Padre game last year when it was on Fox or somebody else.
Yeah,
they were great together. They were great together. He's not a cut up like Mud can be, but
no,
I enjoyed listening to him. But no,
I think people get upset with Mud because they think he's a clown. But to me, he's a clown when he has to be a clown. But he is knowledgeable about the sport of baseball. He is.
I think he's funny. I just think he's funny. I don't think he's a clown so much as he's just funny.
He may not be a Dave Campbell. I mean, nobody knew more about baseball than him. But
I always like Mud when he hears something. He goes, "That's the name of my new band."
Yeah.
I host trivia last night, and we had a team win. Or I was asking a question or whatever. Anyway, and their team name is "We Have Issues," and I said, for those of you who listen to Mark Grant, I said that's the name of my next band.
Yeah, We Have Issues. That actually is a pretty good band.
Yeah, we have some funny names, come up every once in a while. But yeah, those are regular folks that come in there and
kind of like the do they still do Over the Line in San Diego?
Oh yeah, I'm back. Yeah.
I've
never been to it, but from what I understand, it's more settled down than it ever was.
Oh, okay. So the names are probably you can't use a lot of those names anymore.
Yeah. That's my understanding, but I've never been. I've never.
I went a couple times. I was going to do it one year. We were going to do it when we were training for it. I don't know what happened, and then we ended up not doing it. But Over the Line is fun if you've ever played it. It's.
I used to play it all the time, but never went down there.
But I went down there a couple times, and one time we rode our bikes down there when we were like 13, 14.
You almost have to get in.
Yeah.
that or get there at 4 a.m.
But the best parts were the names, and you go. Sometimes you have to think about it, but I can see now where the culture today would not accept a lot of those names. But it is what it is.
And I don't know for sure. I just used to be stories about it all the time.
Yes.
And I haven't seen a story out of Over the Line in years. So I'm just assuming maybe it's a little bit of a dying breed. I could be wrong, but
could be happening.
All right.
We didn't talk about Hugh Darvish, who was put on the restricted list. Yeah. And didn't it free up, he waived his salary this year, right?
So Praler made it very clear that doesn't give them any more money to spend. They had already baked that into that was going to happen.
So the $16 million, even though he's given up his salary for this year,
doesn't do anything as far as having more money for them to spend. It's still a luxury tax item, Jack. Again, money is one thing, luxury tax is a whole nother. And there's a threshold where you get into the next threshold and you start paying Dodger penalties. Where what was it that I think the $70 million contract to Tucker ended up costing them $120,000 or $20 million, because basically they up their luxury tax to where they had to pay an extra $40 or $50 million because of that, and they just don't care.
Again, I if you have small market teams willing to spend, you should let them spend.
So that's one thing I wanted to talk about. Was I had never thought of it this way. And again, there's a pretty sharp guy that does the mid-afternoon show, and I catch him a lot of times when I'm driving around. A little bit too much like Jim Rome tries to be, but that's just me. He was talking about how the Padres are actually being penalized for trying to do the right thing. And here's the take. Small market teams with losing records get additional compensation picks. All right. The large market teams don't get them. So your Dodgers, they have no way to get them, right? So this is a small market thing. San Diego is still a small market, but because they're winning and they're spending money, they haven't gotten one of those second or third round compensation picks in 5 years. So basically, his thought was the Padres are being penalized for trying to do the right thing and spend money as a small market team.
That's true. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and neither had I. And it makes sense because the whole ideal of the compensation picks was to level the playing field. But here again, they got it wrong, because it's like, well, so wait a minute. So San Diego's doing exactly what we want all these small teams to do, and yet they're giving up their compensation picks. And so his point is that's why we don't get the McGongles or the Connor Griffins and stuff like that, because they're not getting those extra picks. So they get their 1 and 2 and that's it. And these guys are getting a 1, 2 2s, 2 3s, and it's a big difference. 5 picks versus 3. You do the math.
And the way Preller,
you do it every year, that it adds up.
The way Preller drafts.
Yeah.
That would help us. That would help a lot.
Well, anybody, that's extra guys. That's just extra 5, and again, you think about the whole nation and all that kind of stuff, and you got 30 teams. Okay, I get 5 picks in the first 150, you get 3. That's a huge, huge difference, of what you could possibly get. Because usually the first 3-4 rounds, and again, there's all these stories of, 110th round and stuff like that. Yeah. But a lot of these guys, are, the stars. They know they're going to be stars, or it's got a better chance of them being a star. And you get to the 6th round, 8th, 10th, whatever. You start. Okay, now I'm cherry picking. I'm trying to find that guy that maybe is going to develop. Maybe I'll take that high schooler and see if we can sign him. And if he does, then it'll take him 4 years to get to the majors if he makes the majors. And,
right.
We talked about it a couple of weeks ago. That amazing stat of which I'd love to have that table, but if you're not the number 1, number 2, or number 3 prospect in baseball, your chances of being a superstar are about nil. If you're the top 10, okay, you got a chance of being a good player, and then you get past the top 10 and you're not in the top 100, you got about 0 chance of becoming anything regular. You might be a platoon player or something like that, and even that's a reach. So yeah, I found that as disheartening, so to speak, and maybe that's something they can fix in the next contract while they're
now I'm locked out for a year. I'm going to start complaining about the Marlins and Pittsburgh Pirates and stuff, and we're being hosed. It's that's ridiculous. I had no idea that was happening. Yeah. I've never heard that before. Now I'm pissed. Now I'm going to be honest. Now I'm mad. I'm angry. I'm angry.
Well, especially like I said, especially when you're trying to do the right thing. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah, I mean,
I've got
that's
my own opinion about how much it helps to spend as a small market team, because if you got the mighty Dodgers spending $400 million on a team, you having an extra $30 million to spend, to get maybe one more player, one really good player, maybe, or two above average players, is that really going to make you equal to anybody else? No, it's not.
Well, again, you look at the Dodgers, and I keep saying it's their starting pitching is the difference. They don't even have Blake Snell right now, and they still have they just pitcher. It's crazy. They paid Tanner Scott all that money, and he's a mop-up guy. He's a long reliever, middle reliever now. He's not a closer.
Used to say that that was I haven't seen Michael on the chat here, but that used to be my biggest complaint when the Yankees were doing this, and obviously not to the degree the Dodgers are doing it now. But even then, they were heads and tails above everybody else.
Oh yeah.
My biggest argument is they can afford to miss with a free agent.
Yeah, exactly.
They can afford that. Padres can't. Now we've come midway, so to speak. It's definitely not like we used to be. But yeah, if you're Pittsburgh right now, you got Paul Skeens, and you got 4 more years with him after this year. You brought up you're bringing up Connor Griffin. I mean, you're having to do it the old-fashioned way. But by the time you get all those guys going and everything, then they'll be running off to free agency. And
I don't see any way they keep Skeens. I just don't see it. I don't think he would sign
unless he's a loyalist like Jackson Merrill, where it's just like, I like where I'm at. I'm gonna stay here. Yeah, it's always easy to talk when you're 4 or 5 years away and say, I'm loyal to Pittsburgh. I want to stay here and everything. But yeah, come and talk to him in 4 years, and he may be that guy. I don't know.
But if you look at the two situations, Jackson Merrill's playing in San Diego, sold out crowds every night. They've been in the playoffs. He's got great talent around him. Paul Skeens, all right, the team has not been in the playoffs a long time. They got some talent, though. They have some talent.
Yeah.
But it's the stadium. We've been there. It's pretty empty. It's just
it's a beautiful stadium. The biggest problem too, Jack, is your point is that it's always about the depth, right? So we're on the fringe, like this. We talked about 2 and 4 start. This is about as excited I've been in a few years about having depth. Now, starting pitching is still my worry, but you got Griffin Canning out there, and
Musgrove
and Musgrove coming back, hopefully, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I like this team. I like it, but we got depth. We got players to plug in and things like that. If you're, the small market, the true small market teams that are, plug and play, they don't have depth. They got some guy that's maybe a AA player at best on their bench, and it's got to fill in every once in a while. They don't have the depth to be able to change their lineup, at will. They got to keep playing the same guys a lot. I hope they fix it.
Well, you look at the starting.
We'll
pitching.
find out how creative they get.
You look at last season, the starting pitching. They rested Snell and Glasnow for 2 months.
Yeah.
So they'd be fresh for the playoffs. How many teams could do that?
Yeah.
Well, none.
Yeah.
None, because they have so much starting pitching. But that's the key. Yeah. I was going to say too about Darvish. If Nabler ever leaves, Darvish should be the pitching coach.
Well, I think I think the good thing, I was commenting the other day, one of my few that I actually commented on about Darvish, and my statement was, if and when he decides to go, I hope the Padres put him in an important role in the youth development of pitching. I think that's a good start for him to work with the minor leaguers on the way up. We want Niebla to stay. I mean, we don't want him to go anywhere, but he seems to be attuned with that, and he already helped Vasquez. But, I'd love to have a guy like Darvish down there in more of the, the AA, AAA arena, where it's like, let's see if we can fine tune that a little bit to get there. Now, obviously, our pitching coaches are doing a good job in the minors too, because you got guys, look at our relievers. That's where all our relievers have come from. So, It'd be nice if we could hang on to a few starters. Don't want to tread over old waters. I'm glad we have Fermin, but still miss Burgert. But haven't seen him pitch yet. Is Burgert or Kolek either one pitching now?
They're not even on the roster. They're not on the major league roster.
Yeah. So
I looked. In fact, it's funny because I looked yesterday.
Yeah.
So are they even relievers? And no, they're not even on. I don't know what happened. Kolek was good, pitched really well for him last year. I don't know what. I take it back.
Well, so did Burgert, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
Again, didn't I tell you that one? The same guy that I was talking about on the radio, he went through the last 10 years when the Padres had the number one minor league system. I think it was from like 2018, 19, 20, 21. And, when the Padres were just being hailed as having this awesome, minor league program. And every one of the guys he named was nowhere to be found except for the more recent ones like James Wood, C.J. Abrams, right?
C.J. Abrams, yeah.
But the other ones that were named were Jackson Merrill, Fernando Tatis Jr., Andre Morrow. I mean, the guys that we ended up keeping. And it's like, so has he really traded away, major leaguers? Not very many.
Well, when you trade away, because going back to Betts being traded to, because they were complaining about the Devers trade, how it was like going, we got 3 ham sandwiches and a cheese sandwich for the trade, because really the players they got are not showing anything.
What has Devers done, though?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, they did free up all that cash from Devers.
But I mean, even performance-wise, I mean, I don't, what did Devers do? I'm looking it up right now because I don't think he's done that much. I'm not going to misspeak here, but let me look and see the stats from last year. I don't remember him doing all that great personally, but let's see. So this year he's hitting 227. It's early, of course, but last year, what did he do? Where's he at? Oh, there he is. He hit 236 with the Giants in 90 games and hit 20 home runs and drove in 51. 90 games. That's over half the season. He hit 236, struck out 116 times. I don't know.
It's that Fenway magic because, like I said, it took Bogart.
Well, look at Bogey. Bogey's a good player. Is he the $300 million player? No, but he's a good player.
It also took him a while to get to changes. You have the green monster there, and it's just like, well, it's only 300 something feet, so hit it off the wall.
Yeah, the adjustment and everything like that. But it's I think the difference is that the contract for those guys, Devers was traded, and what they got out of him obviously was not much. But you look at Bogey, and Bogey hit 263 with 11 home runs. Boston may know what they're doing. I know they're sore about the Betts trade and everything, but when you really look at Mookie Betts, the first 2 years with them, he was really good, but I don't think he's done all that much. I'm not trying to put anybody down here, but what's Mookie hit? What did Mookie hit last year? Let me see here. I don't usually like to do this in the middle of our podcast, but see, Mookie hit 258 with 20 home runs and a slugging of 406.
Yeah, he had an off year.
Yeah, but I think that's let me look at 24 then. I could be wrong, but the year before that he had 289 with 19 home runs, had a bigger slugging. So yeah, all I know is there was a time when they first traded for him where I feared Mookie Betts coming up. I don't feel that way anymore. Same with Freddie Freeman. I mean, now they're in the same position as the Padres are. It's like we paid for those first 2, 3, 4 years, and we know that there's going to be a slowdown. We've discussed ad nauseum this way we feel the same way about Bogarts and Manny, that there's going to come a time In fact, if it hasn't already, where they slow down a little bit, and Manny hasn't completely slowed down because he's still in his 25 to 30 dings each year. Powers leaving, Bogarts. There's no doubt about it. Again, good player, plays good defense. He's not a $300 million player, but once they've paid signed the contract, I really don't care what they make. But the fact of the matter is, I think that's one thing I would say is it's time to have that position with Bogey where he hits down at the seventh hole. He shouldn't be in the first 4 or 5 hitters, in my opinion, with this team.
I don't like him in the middle, but I still think he'd be a good leadoff hitter. I think he hits well leading off.
I don't know if I
don't have the stat in front of me, but I just.
Well, that's just it. It's to me, it still comes down to what are you doing with as far as getting on base, because Xander, look at 25. His on base percentage is .328. That's not good. You had Fernando leading off last year, and his on base was .368. That's a pretty good tick above.
Yeah.
There was a time I thought that what you said was right, but I'm just starting to shift my concern to more towards we've got better hitters now. Lariano to me would be a good cleanup hitter. I think that and whatever you want to do with Fernando and Merrill and Manny 1, 2, 3, whatever. Obviously, Manny's not going to lead off. Having Lariano to protect, I think it would be a good deal. And I'd like to.
So last year you were against Fernando leading off. Now you want him leading off?
Well, I think I've come to the realization, Jack, that I don't want to say I was wrong, but I started looking at it a little bit, and the comment one of the radio guys made today really resonate with me. He says, you go back and look at Fernando Tatis's career, and are we not over expecting like what he brings to the table each and every year? I mean, isn't it looking backwards too long that when he go to 2020 and he hit 40 home runs, he's never come close to that since then. No. So is he really is that the kind of player is? Now, don't get me wrong, he's a tremendous player. He's a tremendous athlete. He's a platinum glove 2 times over, but he's not a slugger. He's got it in him, and he can hit these behemoth home runs, but he's still, hitting 20 to 25 home runs. He's not necessarily, the power hitter on the club. And I kind of, you start kind of looking at it that way. You go, well, maybe that's more of who he is now, and maybe that's just, we've been looking at him wrong, or I've been looking at him wrong and saying, what's his real value? I'm going back to 2021. He had 42 home runs, drove in 97 runs, had a slugging of .611. All right. 2020, when he missed 22, of course. 23, 25 home runs, .449 slugging. 2024, 21 home runs, .492 slugging. 2025, 25 home runs, .446 slugging. That's not a home run hitter. That's not home run. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's more of what I hear a lot of fans, myself included, until recently, it's like our expectations. It's like, oh, he hasn't. He had 1 year where he hit over 22 home runs from 23 or whatever it was. Yeah, 42 was his high. He's had 25 2 of the last 3 years and 21
the reason I always wanted him leading off, especially last year, and I got frustrated. Well, I don't want to go too much, but he has speed.
Yep.
And so he's a threat to steal. Of course, he couldn't steal last year because of the issue we had, that guy batting second. But also he does get on base. He will take walks, and he became a better hitter last year. So yeah, maybe you do move Bogey down.
I'd love to. I think I've come back to. I'd like to what I suggested last year, which was if you're going to lead off with Fernando, then you got to have Jackson Merrill hit second. You got to have that lefty holding him on, and give him that big hole. We know that Jackson loves to hit that, that, what would that be called, the 3.5 hole?
Yeah.
I mean, he hits a lot of balls that way.
Well,
You
Tony,
don't have to
going
worry
back
about
to
you don't have to you don't have to worry about speed being a problem for either one of them, right?
yeah, they're both
And
fast.
I also like having Jake hit ninth. I think that's a solid place for him. He could be the extra leadoff man.
That's where I
And
want.
that way
That's where I want Jakey.
yeah, and that's why, then you can have Fermin batting eighth, and that way, it's not automatic. You plug up the bases, and I don't think Fermin's like a slow catcher. I mean, it's
No, he's
nothing
for a
like
catcher. He's not
Maldonado or
slow.
Diaz, that's for
No,
sure.
he's not that
Yeah,
slow.
but
But I was saying
yeah.
with what I always remember Tony Gwynn when Alan Wiggins in 1984, he said, "You know how many hits I got because Alan Wiggins would get on first base and they have to hold him on."
Yeah,
and Tony Gwynn just popping through the 3.5 hole.
Yeah,
he just said, and because and plus he goes, I got a lot of fastballs because they were worried about Alan Wiggins stealing. So there's things like that you could do because we don't have a lot of speed on the bases, but you got Merrill and.
Well, I think that's the point. That's your two, to me, your two. Oh, sorry, I got some video playing in the background. I don't know if you heard that or not.
I hear it all.
But yeah, I mean, Jackson has even said, he says, "Yeah, I need to steal more bases." You go back to his rookie year; he stole 16 bases.
Yeah, last year he stole one.
One, yeah, and well, obviously, I think that was hurt by saying, "Hey, we don't want you to get hurt." Well, the hammy, they had the concussion, and all the reasons not to run.
Right.
Yeah. But 2 and 4. So I know we're approaching the end here. We got 3 in Boston, 2 day games, and one.
Well, last week you predicted 4 and 2. Oz predicted 5 and 1.
Yeah,
and Jack predicted 3 and 3. So I was.
You win the first week.
I was the closest. So
yeah. Okay. Scoreboard says Jack 1, me and Oz 0. We will give an extra point if you get it exactly correct.
Okay, so I get 1 point.
You get 1. Me and Oz get none. Is Oz, you still with us?
Oz never gave nothing to the Tin Man.
Yeah, she said hello. She said Xander is solid, and that's it. So, all right.
So anyway,
Oz, you're going to have to post your.
Oz is still there.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
So we
Jack,
have
since you won last week, you get to go first.
So we have Pittsburgh for 3, Boston for 3,
Boston for 3, and then Pittsburgh for 3, and we have to face Skeens one of the game for the first time.
Oh, we do?
Yeah, we miss Crochet.
Oh,
but we see Skeens. Yeah.
Okay. So Jack, Oz, Jerry. I'm going to go 4 and 2.
4 and 2. Wow. All right. So basically, come out of it. You're gonna.
Oz is going 4 and 2.
Oh, well, you guys are both trying to grab a couple points. I am going to. Let's see what the schedule says here. Well, I'm going to say we will go 3 and 3, and I'll be fine with that. I think a good road trip is breaking even. I think we. I think we win 2 in 2 in Boston and 1 in Pittsburgh. Because I like King against Gray. I like Vasquez against Early. Buehler and Suarez, it's kind of a shove, but somehow I think Boston pulls that one out. I think we lose the first 2 in Pittsburgh because we've got Marquez going for us, and then we got to face Skeens. Although we got Pavetta going, and then we got King against Keller.
Who's pitching against? So it's Vasquez. Not Vasquez.
It's King against Gray. It's Vasquez against Early.
No, I'm talking about the Pittsburgh. So it's
Marquez and Chandler. That's their young stud.
Oh, okay. And who's going against Skeens?
And then it's Pavetta and Skeens, and then King and Keller.
Well, we just got to get to the bullpen. Yeah. Keller, I wish we would have traded for Keller. He's a pretty solid.
That's the guy we had a hard time with when we saw that game. Remember, we ended up winning it, but we had a tough time with him.
Yeah, he's a good pitcher on a bad team, or not a great team. Anyway,
so we will not. We will not predict the Thursday game against Colorado because that comes after our podcast.
Is that in Colorado?
It's here.
Okay,
but it's a 6:40 local time, so we'll make our picks right before game starts on that one. So.
Bold take: we rake against Skeens.
Okay.
Wow.
All right.
Okay. All right, guys. That's it. We'll be back next week, probably at 8:15. If that works for you, Jerry.
That works better. Yeah.
All right.
All right, man.
Take care, everyone. I'm out. We're out.
Bye now.
Bye.
We're out. We're gone. See you later.
We're leaving.
Aloha.